Fab. Okay, let's have a little look at your stroke, John. Obviously, this isn't in the clinic environment, but your recording didn't happen, so let's have a little look. How are you getting on? So we know recently you've upped your stroke rate to around, I don't know, we put it at 73. I don't know if that's sustainable for longer distances, but anything that's like 68 plus is going to be a great advantage. What's really nice about your stroke here, John, is actually when you come to take a breath, I've just stopped you at a bad time there, but you can really, you don't over-rotate, so you're just breathing in, just breathing to the side, one goggle in, one goggle out. What you could do, what you might notice here as well, John, which would be quite interesting, is that there is no bow wave. So often what we find with swimmers, that if you follow this black line, there's more of a bow wave just near to your mouth, so you actually have to turn your mouth up to get a better breath. Now that often can be, and what we're seeing with you as well, what we've been working on with you a lot, is just trying to keep your head in that still position, and when you take a breath, or looking slightly further forward, which creates your head creates a bit more of a bow wave and a deeper trough to breathe into. The other thing that we've been talking about is just keeping your head relatively still. You can see here, if you watch the centre line of your cap, you definitely rotate from side to side quite a lot. So one of the things I know we've been working with in squad is just keeping your head as still as possible. Obviously you're just breathing to the one side here. So again, another thing we could work on is getting you bilateral breathing, but I know you are doing that. What's really nice, your hand entry, fingertip first, wrist, elbow, fingertip first, wrist, elbow, and again on this side. My only thing that I would say to you is, if you look at this, how steep this hand is, it means that's the angle you're going to go down into. So the only thing you can do from here, John, is spear too deep, or you spear too deep and then you have to come back up to the surface so that over gliding effect happens. If what we could do is from this arm and wrist, we extend it through, so you'll just relax that hand off, keep it straight, enter into the water, imagine you're spearing in and along to the end of the paw. What I think you'll find a significant difference to that hand entry. You'll also, all your energy will be going forwards and along, and not just down to the bottom of the paw, as we can see with this indication of that slightly too cocked wrist. But we'll see more when we go under the water. Okay, let's have a look from the overhead shot. So let's have a little look overhead here, John. So one of the things that you're very good at doing, John, is your catch up. But we'd like at some point to try and rid that for you. But you're still definitely doing it. I know when you work with a beeper, you're definitely more fluent. You engage the water better. There's better rhythm and timing for your stroke. And it's really evident here just that what happens is that this sort of catch up where both your hands are in front, like above your head, you can just see the effect on your legs. This leg here has actually kicked up, so you can see the bottom of your, it's really kicked from that knee. And often what we'll call that is the overglider's kickstart, where there's a slight, there's quite a slight pause to your stroke because of that. Two hands have met, kind of a catch-up position, and your legs have to compensate because you're out of balance. However, what's really nice is actually you are relatively straight. Ideally we want from the shoulder along like an imaginary black line. Here we've got a slight crossover here, and then you kind of adjust it coming forward. So we really want, ideally, John, what we want to be doing with both arms is just imagining black lines from your shoulders, and you're spearing in and along them like we see with Jono when we play him alongside you. Just have a look at your head again here, and this is a really good example of just how much your head turns. Now imagine if you're on a bike and you look over your shoulder, suddenly, before you know it, you're in the middle of the road. Same concept with your swimming, where your head goes, your body will follow. So what we need to start trying to do is get you thinking about trying to keep your head as still as possible in the water. Looking at that little kickstart, you can see when you overglide, that knee lifts up and it's kind of like a little kick out there. Oh, you're actually just stopping there. But there's a little breaststroke kick that happens. Okay, let's have a look as you swim towards us. So we can see here then, you can see, did you see here, this arm, you can see that you can put a pause on. And you know, from that first angle we looked at, that's fairly steep hand entry into the water. You went really steep and then you came back up. So just focus at the moment on this left hand and what it does. Let's watch. Okay. So entered really steep. If you continued down here, you would be at the bottom of the pool fairly quickly. But then you turn your hand up because of that steep hand entry. I think if we can get that arm and hand entry right, you're going to find this a lot easier. And then you cock your wrist again. We really need to work on what's happening with this wrist. I think one of the key things with you, John, at the moment is your head position. Get your breathing right. But if we can imagine that from your elbow to your top of your fingers, we don't want them stiff and rigid. We want flexibility and fluidity, but we want them in one long line. So if you are holding your arm out in front of you as I'm talking, it's straight rather than there's any kink to your wrist. That's going to really help with your swimming. What we can see is really dropped elbows, creating a massive break when you're going forward. So it's quite a significant braking effect that's happening here. And then the only thing you can do from there, John, is actually push down in the water, which pushes your body up, drops your legs, creates either a kickstart for you or kick out for a bit of balance. So we're really going to work on your hands. We've got a technique session on Sunday, so this is what our focus is going to be on. And we really need to get into that catch. I reckon once we got your hand and arm entry okay, what you'll find is that all those drills that you're reasonably good at will start connecting. Because actually, if we get your hand entry right, you will actually fall. It'll be fall into position better with your catch and pull through. Just see your legs kicking out there. Two hands joining together, braking, pushing down. Okay, let's have a look at the last shot that we see from the side view. So straight away, I know I'm being harsh, straight into that dropped arm, dropped elbow, and then it continues through. So you can see you've engaged your biceps there, your triceps there, sorry, and you're pulling through, but you're only using this back half of your arm towards the back of the stroke. It's much better. So you can really see that dropped elbow. So here, down here, here, and what this will be causing is low sinking legs, because then what you have to do is push down in the water to get out of it, or cock your wrist like you're doing there. So that left hand isn't doing all that much in that first initial stage of your swimming. And here you push down, and you just see your legs starting to drop, which pushes your upper body up, drops your legs, increases your drag, and slows you down. Just want to show you Shelley here as you're swimming along. in a similar position to you. So you could just really see what we're looking at. Let's slow Shelley down as well. So let's have a look. So actually you and Shelley do very much the opposite. So you can see Shelley reaches out over that imaginary barrel and pulls it back behind her. Whereas your imaginary barrel would be, let's just pull it back and look at your legs here. Your imaginary barrel will be pushing you down in the water a little bit. So this is how we want you to swim. Spear in and along, reaching out, making the most of your ape index that we know that you've got. I think we're going to work. I'm going to make a little splint for your wrist. But I think the main things are to work on first, John, are heads. So stop your head swinging from one side to the other. I think your crossover is not too bad. I think there are more important things at the moment in terms of your hand entry, so that cocked wrist that we're seeing on the left-hand side. And once you're in to the water, just dropping of those elbows. So if we get our hand entry right, we'll support you a little bit more with that cocked wrist. That overgliding, so the catch-up position, is essential to try and work on, and that actually will sort out the slight kickstart that you've got with your legs going on. So they're the main points to focus on. I think if we can get those right, you'll be on to a winner and you'll be very happy. Checking your watch at the end. Your 100-metre time. Fab. Okay, so head position number 1, breathing number 2, a little bit of crossover, but actually more importantly, hand entry, spearing in, spearing deep. Imagine reaching out over a barrel, keeping those elbows high. If we got those, that's going to be our mission for this year. 2015, we're going to crack that. Okay. I hope that all makes sense.